This is video number 2 about making cooking videos. I did one not long ago and it described some of the basics of what you need in the way of a camera and what do you need in the way of production work. Okay, so we're through that part of it, and in case you're wondering, I'm actually recording this on my HFR72, the video camera, not the big expensive camera. And why? Well, this video camera does incredible sound, and it does really good picture, and believe it or not, it is still the mainstay of my work. And frankly, if I were to advise somebody, do you buy the expensive camera or do you get this one? I want to say get one like this. I've got 1080p, 60 frames a second going on right now, and it is a really, really clear picture. So it works, and the sound is very well controlled. And part of that is because of the mic, but also it's just part of how the camera itself processes the sound, which on my other camera is quite different. And in a moment you're going to discover that. Let me do something real quick. I'm going to pull up. There we go. That's going to open my Adobe Premiere. Now mine's an older Adobe Premiere. It is the Adobe Premiere Elements 14, so it was from 2014. And it has been operating on this computer since that time. The computer I've had since many years before that. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention. You might be asking yourself, okay, if I want to process video, do I need a special computer? Yes and no. You need a capable computer, not necessarily special. So what you need to do is look at your creative programs that you're thinking of using. I like to use the Adobe programs, not because they are in any way special, but mostly just because they work. They work as advertised. They do what they say they will do, and they do it well. They also are good time savers. There's lots of shortcuts and quick ways of getting things done once you learn how to use them. It takes a little bit of time for this to come up because it is a massive, massive program. And that's something you need to know about using creative programs, especially ones that deal with, you know, video and that kind of stuff. They're an 800-pound gorilla programs, okay? They're not a small, dainty program. So these things need a lot of A, processing power, B, a strong video card, C, they also need a lot of active memory in the computer, RAM. And that's something I wanted to talk to you about. What kind of computer? Well, here's the thing. If you're shopping or thinking about doing this, take a look at your computer. Take a look at the video processing programs that you're thinking of using and see, does your computer work with that program, or will that program work on your computer? Now, a lot of people these days call that an app. Let's see if that app will work. Come on, give me a break. It's a program. We're going to have fun with nomenclature here. So while we're waiting on this guy to come up, it'll happen eventually. It's loading all kinds of stuff. You need to look at number one, the processor. Now, the programs that I have ordered to process photographs and to process video are all Adobe, and they all have certain requirements. And the requirements that I have on me now when it comes to a computer, and a new computer which I've ordered, are, does it have enough cores on the processor? There it is. Does it have enough processor speed? So there's a little number there, gigahertz. You need to make sure your processor's fast enough. You need to make sure that you have enough DDR, not DDR, that would be your active memory. The computer has to have enough to work with the program. There's a minimum amount, and Adobe, I think, requires a minimum of 4 gigabytes, but they recommend 8 gigabytes. If you have 16, it runs even that much smoother, but at least 8 is smart. That's the recommended. Usually go with what's recommended, not with what it'll get by with. Now, I operate this one using a quad core Phenom processor on a gigabyte motherboard and a fairly decent video card and enough DDR, all right? However, it's an old computer, okay? It was a gaming computer when I purchased it, a low-end gaming computer. I configured it myself, had iBuyPower build it for me. You can go to iBuyPower, they have a custom configurator. You can have them build your computer your way. I still like doing that, and the new company or the new computer I've ordered will work the same way. I went onto their configurator and I designed the computer the way I wanted it built, and now it is being built and it'll be bench tested and then shipped to me shortly. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk to you about working these programs and some of the neat stuff you can do. And so anyway, this is moving from, you've done your production work in the kitchen, you've filmed your recipe, you found out that you can't film a recipe in 1 or 2 clips, that it takes a whole bunch, and now you're trying to figure out what do you do with all those clips and how do you put them together. And that's kind of what we're about to get into here, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the different things that we can do with audio and video and working with multiple cameras. When I'm putting together a video in one of these timelines, I will put all of my clips that I'm going to be using on a piece of paper. Now, you know, like I do in my cooking videos, they got chef's notes. Well, guess what? We have chef's notes right here. Look at that. Chef's notes on this one is about a bunch of numbers, and these are the numbers of the video clips. And some of the numbers are like 2,000, some of them are like 4,000. And that's because they're from different cameras. All right? The higher numbers come from this camera. The lower numbers come from my new camera. And the reason it's already got 2,000 is because I've been shooting a lot of pictures. Okay? And it's sequential. Whether it's a picture or a video, it just numbers it in sequence. So I line them all out. I do different kinds of videos. I'll do a recipe version, that's this one. I'll do a tutorial version, that's this one. I have notes down here for placements of things like the title and my branding, you know, that I do in a corner now. And also some intros and outro videos and stuff like that. So I'll put that in notes down here and get my timeline layout. That way, once I have the timeline layout, it's easy to put it into this. All right, and it's also faster and easier to upload it to this because I've made notes of which clips to use. So instead of laying out an entire video like this in front of you, which this takes a couple of hours for me to process one of these videos, I'm going to show you with a few clips some of the tricks that I use while I'm actually in this program. Now I have a little short list here of the clips that I'm about to upload into this, and we're going to give you a close-up view of my screen so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to try to remember to describe to you, you know, what I'm doing with my mouse and keyboard to help get the results that I'm getting on the screen that you see here. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a series of clips that I would normally put in a certain order on one of my videos. I have a total of 4 clips here. There's going to be a beginning clip, a middle clip, and an ending clip. So that would be 3. Yet I have 4 here. These 2 are actually overlapping. Okay? They were both recorded simultaneously from 2 different cameras. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the audio from one and put it with the video on the other and have them timed out exactly perfect. And I want to show you how to do that. This is really cool. Yeah, you can do stuff like that on these programs. Now when you're looking at different video programs, if you're working with Adobe, and that's what I'm showing you here today is the Adobe Premiere, you're going to have a timeline, and that's these lines down here. This up here is a box where the video shows, and then of course you have a bunch of menus here and along the side and down here. These menus all have all kinds of different things, like you can enter text or transitions or effects, all kinds of different things. When I'm processing a video, I truly believe that simplicity can bring forth beauty, and it can bring forth a wonderful thing if you do it right. So I keep it very simple. My video fades in from black and fades out to black. Okay, plain and simple. And the volume fades in from 0 to normal volume and then back out again. And sometimes does that in between clips. And it gives me beautiful transitions. When I transition from one clip to the next, I do a crossfade. The different crossfades that I will do when I'm working in this are going to be, as a general rule, 2 of them. I'll use sometimes a third crossfade that's just really short, and I use it only when there is no motion in the picture. So if there was no motion entering or exiting in the areas that I cut, then I can use just a basically a 0-second crossfade, which is, you know, like 1/2 of a second overall, and it's unnoticeable. You don't even see it, and when I make cuts like that, people don't even realize I've done it in the video. In fact, I can't even find them myself after the fact unless I look at the old video to try to find them. So when I'm making those crossfades, there will be a 1 second, and that's usually done in subject. So let's say I'm chopping an onion, but I want to cut out a big segment of it, show the beginning and the ending of it. I'll do a 1 second fade. Now if I'm going to switch scenes from, let's say, doing one thing to doing something completely different, and in a different location, I'll do a 2-second crossfade. Just that simple. And that way people realize that it's been a long period of time that expired, or a short period of time that expired, or maybe a piece that was cut out that they don't even realize was removed. Okay, those are my 3 crossfades. Let's zoom in on this screen, and I'm going to show you this and kind of explain and understand this, whether you're working with Sony Vegas or whether you're working with Pinnacle or whether you're working Adobe or you know, there's several different ones. As a general rule, most of them operate very similar. There may be different ways that you cut a video clip. They may have different nomenclature on how they tell you to cut the clip, but it's generally very similar, and there's not a huge learning curve between them. Corel produces a good one too. I forgot to mention that one. So there's a lot of choices here. Now let's zoom in and I'll show you exactly what I do with this. So first thing I need to do, something I like to do, and this isn't really necessary, I just change the way my assets look from this box view, the grid view, to a list view. I find the list a little easier to work with. I'm going to go ahead and add my media, files and folders. Okay, and I'm already in the right folder that I want, which was my white chili folder. So I'm going to go down and get some clips here. Yes, I know there's a lot. Okay, I believe I needed 2671, that one right there. Also 2679, which is right underneath it, that one. In addition, I need 4692, that one, and 4690, that one there. So open all 4. Now, something I want to mention to you, when you first open clips in Adobe, I don't know about other companies, but when you're first opening up your media in Adobe, it will do what's called conforming, or it'll generate a peak file, one or the other, and it'll tell you it's doing that right down here in this little black corner. Okay, these have already been uploaded before, so it doesn't have to go through the conforming process now. However, if it says conforming down here, or if it says generating peak file in this little black space in the lower corner here, just leave it alone. If you interrupt that process, it is definitely going to give you some issues. Okay, I've had major issues trying to get my audio to work right, and ended up having to rename a file in order to get audio to work right. So if something goes wrong when you're loading your files onto your timeline, Then you can go in, rename the file, you know, make a copy of it and rename that copy. And that renamed copy will then upload and generate a peak file properly or conform properly, and then you can place it in your timeline. If you place these into your timeline prior to the conforming finishing, it will mess up your audio. Okay, so be cautious of that. That was something that I couldn't find any information on, and it took me a little while to learn. So there was a learning curve on that I have saved you some time on. All right, now I need to upload these in order. I've got 4690, and you can do groups or one at a time when you're doing these. I have a series of timelines here. This is my video 1, video 2, video 3, and Adobe, this particular program, will handle up to 100 timelines. Now, while this program will handle 100 timelines, my computer won't necessarily handle 100 timelines. It can handle up to about 4. It struggles with 6. All right, and that is running concurrent video timelines, which is really very difficult for any computer to do. Okay, so 4690, 4692, and 2679. That one right there. I want to put them right down into my timeline here. So you will know when you're doing these, you can move one at a time or do it just like I did and move a whole batch. Now this one up here, this 2671, that is the one that has the same audio video track as this 4692, which was from another camera. And we're going to put that one on top of this, but I want to show you some of the tricks that I do to make it easy. I close my assets first, so I don't have that I'm looking at and it's not bothering me. The next thing I'll do is I go right over here to this left side where these gray boxes are that say audio, video, and all that, and I grab the top line where it says audio 1. Now let me get it here. There we go. You see I get an up down arrow and little black bars, and it's very hard to see, but it's there. I want left click and pull up. I pull up to where it says just audio video 2, just above audio 2. Now what that does is it opens up this audio track so that I can see it easier. And this is important, guys. When you're editing, that audio track can put your time and your timing and timeline in track. Let me show you how we do that. First thing I'm going to do is go over here to the right, and I'm going to zoom in on my timeline, this part down here. So I'm going to zoom once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, usually at least 4 times, sometimes 5, depending, but on this one I don't need to go that wide. So we'll bring it down once. All right, so I've zoomed in 4 times, which means if I come over to this second large hash mark on my upper timeline here and click on that second mark, that should give me 2 seconds, and that's exactly what I'm reading. All right, so let me explain a few things. I want to use my pencil or my pen as a pointer. This upper, it says video 1, this upper blue bar here, this is my video track, and this blue line represents the visual time stream that you're seeing here. The yellow line here, which they call a rubber band, and they call this one a rubber band, this represents the audio track to this, and it's sequential movement. Okay, and let me explain what I mean by that. Over here in the center where it says audio 1, there's a little square. If I click on that after highlighting this, it will enter what's called a keyframe right there. Okay. There we go. I had to re-highlight it. Okay, I enter a keyframe. That gives me a keyframe right there. Oops. Right there. Now I'm going to click Page Up, And that moves my cursor back to the beginning. If I clicked page down, it would move it to the end of this clip. That's how you can move your cursor very quickly from one place to the next. So since I'm there, I'm going to go and enter another keyframe. There. Now I'm going to move this, as you can see. We'll move it over just a little bit so you can kind of see what my arrow does. When I put my pointer on the yellow track here, it turns into a black arrow up and down. And that would move this entire yellow band up and down, okay? If I put it on that keyframe, it turns into a little white, tiny arrow with a white dot next to it. Left click and pull down. Whoops, let go of it. Come on. Now watch what that does. That gives me a fade in on the volume. Now folks, there's an easier way to do that without having to enter these keyframes individually. You can simply right click, go to where it says fade, and it'll give you these options: fade in audio, fade in video, fade in audio and video, fade out audio, fade out video, and then it's fade in and out on all of the options. So you've got a lot of options there. Now let me show you how we can do this and then change it also. I'll do the fade in video. Boom. There it goes. It gives me a 1 second fade in right there. It would have given me a 1 second fade in on the audio also. But as you noticed, I did a 2 second fade in. How can we adjust that if we do that quick version? I can simply click on that keyframe again and move it right or left as I wish. I can bring it up or down as I wish. And that of course messes with my video timeline. And we'll bring it back to the 1 mark, 1 second. And if I click my space bar, it will begin the time sequence playing. That's what I just did.
One more time. I would rate the previous clip and
so you see, I've done an intro from fade in from black at the beginning of a clip. Now I haven't edited this clip yet, so naturally I wouldn't want that where it's at because I haven't done any editing. So let me edit this first part out. I'll show you how we do that. I'm going to click the space bar again to get it to travel. Now I can also go up here and just click this right here, which is the play button, but it's if you're looking for your shortcuts, shortcut is spacer bar. We'll start it playing. There we go. Okay. All right, I found an intro area. Now I like to give myself a little bit of space in front of where my audio begins. So you can see the audio where it begins here. If I were to bring this back 1 second, that would be about here. On this right here, which is my stylus, there's a little arrow right there. See, highlighted. If I click that arrow, it will cut. So now I have separated this clip into 2 clips. I've cut it right there. This part, which I don't need, let's highlight it, and I'm going to hit page up. Boom, that takes me right back to the beginning. Right click and go up and click on delete and close gap. Bam. Okay, so I've taken that out. I can right click, fade in video. Perfect. But I like a long fade in on my audio, so I'm just going to do it manually. Keyframe, page up, another keyframe, grab a hold of it and pull it to the floor. There we go.
Today I'm going to be making white chili.
So as you see, that's how I do my intro on my videos. If you've ever seen one, that's how I come in. Okay, very simple, guys. Now let's move to the ending of this clip by going page down, and I'm going to come back and I want to pretend that I've cut something out here. So we're going to cut and right click and delete and close gap. I want to pretend that I actually listened to it and knew that that was exactly where I wanted to quit. I'm going to scroll back here a little ways. That was the previous clip we were just working on. Right click, fade out audio. Isn't that quick and easy? So the next clip is the one that I have audio from another clip that I want to combine to it. So here's what we do. We're going to use audio from a clip that we haven't used yet. And that is clip 2671. I'm going to grab him and pull him right down here. It's just click and drag. I left clicked it and I drug it right down there. Now guess what? They are not synchronized. And I need to synchronize them. So what I'm going to do, over here on the left, I'll click this arrow which shows me my audio track. I'll click this arrow which shows me my video track or video band. Now, same thing I did on audio for video number 1. I'm going to do for the audio on video number 2. We're going to expand that audio track. Again, what that does for us is it allows us to see the audio itself, and I can then align these to these so that they are both synchronized. It's kind of hard to tell when they're both playing at the same time. So what I want to do is grab the audio band on this and pull it down. And if I want, I can even grab the video band and pull it down, and suddenly the video on my other camera, this one, becomes visible. Isn't that interesting? So your video band, pull it down and you can't see the video. It fades it out. Audio band, pulled it down and it faded it out. I'm going to play this so I can hear this band.
Now I'm recording on both cameras, and this is the introduction to our ingredients. What are we actually cooking with?
So it says now I'm recording on both cameras. So I'm going to bring this audio all the way down, and I'm going to look for those words on this audio stream. I'm going to take him back up to 0, which is where he began. Oops. Almost there. There we go. It's close enough. Okay, so I'll bring my stylus back and we'll start that play again.
Okay, I'm recording on the 6D. Now I'm recording on both cameras. And this is the introduction to our ingredients. What are we actually cooking with? Today,
Alright, so we found that. Now I'm recording on both cameras.
Now I'm recording.
Alright. And if I remember right, that was the same as this track right down here. So what I want to do is I'm going to go up here, bring my stylus back, and highlight this track that I want to cut. And I'm going to give a little more space. If you'll notice, this is where my speech begins, right here. Well, if you'll notice the difference between where, let me go over here a little, where this video track relates to the beginning of the speech here, I want the same distance on this one, but I'm going to give myself some fudge room. So I'm going to click here, click my cut button, boom, I've just split that. Right click this and click delete. I've removed it. Now I'm going to take this track and pull him over, overlapping slightly, and we're going to get ready to align these two because that audio and this audio are the same. Now you can get a program that will help you to align these and it'll do it perfectly. You don't have to have that, guys. If you'll notice where my stylus is, and we're really close on our alignment already. I do this a lot, so sometimes I get it right on. Looky there. It looks like I need to pull this that way 1 frame. So I'm going to try that. Let's see if that did the trick. I'm going to pull the audio track from this side on up. There we are.
Introduction to our ingredients. What are we actually cooking with?
I get a slight echo. It's only very, very slight. So what I can do is I can look for another place that has a peak. And I look for the highest spots, a good clean peak, to align my videos on. So let me do that. I want to align my stylus down here on this peak. Right there. It's at the very beginning of that peak. Now when I look at the upper track, that's a little bit off, giving me that echo. So how about if I pull him back a little bit and see. Too far. Okay, let's see if that aligned it. I think I got it close. We'll play again.
Both cameras, and this is the introduction to our ingredient.
So I've got perfect synchronization between both audio tracks, this audio and this audio. And that's how I now know the video is aligned on both videos. You align the audio track that's attached to that video, that's anchored to it, and you've aligned the video also. It's just that easy, guys. So now what I can do, I can page up, boom, and that takes me back to this seam between this clip and this clip. All right, and there's my stylus right there. So I'm going to highlight the clip I want to cut, that one, click my cut button right there, and remove the extraneous information by clicking delete. So I have this timeline of that video aligned with this timeline from this video. So let's say I want to use the audio track from this one, but the video track from this one. Okay, so where do we go from there? Well, the first thing I would do is, after I get these fully aligned like I've done, I would then go ahead and just simply swap out the two. But I need to go to the end, so we're going to page down. Looky there. One camera clip overlaps the other, is longer than the other. So let's trim it. Let's highlight the one that we want to trim. Cut, right click, and delete. So now I have two clips the exact same length with the exact same audio, perfectly aligned. See all of my peaks? They are absolutely perfectly aligned. Okay, everything is dead on. Now all I need to do is a little rearranging. Okay, so here's where we get to use, let's see, PageUp. Here's where we get to use our creativity. Highlight number one, this top one. We're going to have to do the same thing on both of these clips. I right click and I go to where it says unlink. Okay, it says unlink audio and video. All right, I can do that, or I can just go up here and go to where it says delete video. Remember, I'm going to use the video from the bottom with the audio from the upper. So let's delete the video on the upper. Boom. Which is the same thing as unlinking them. If I clicked unlink, that means I'm using them both, okay? Maybe in different ways. Here, right click, and I'm going to eliminate the audio. So we go up here to where it says delete audio, right there. Boom. Now folks, I can leave this right where it's at and it will burn the video just fine. But if I'm going to worry about it or anything like that, or if it's going to be in my way, I can simply left click and pull him down right there. So now I have one camera's video with the other camera's audio. Click play.
White chili, come on. Now I'm recording on both cameras, and this is the introduction to our ingredients. What are we actually cooking with? Today.
So you'll know when I'm doing my videos, I give myself a little bit of a time break, usually about 1 second or slightly more before I begin what I'm working on. So here's my time break that allows me to do what I'm about to do, which is highlight this and cut, highlight this and cut. Remember, they're not anchored to each other anymore, so you have to work them separate. Then I want to click Page Up, and I want to click Right, Delete, and then right click, delete and close gap. Brings the whole thing over. Now I can do what I did before, what I normally do, which is fade in my audio. And right here where the videos are, as I told you before, I do cross dissolves. So here's my cross dissolve. Come on, it's not working for me. There we go. There we are. I want to click between clips, and I want this one to be 2 seconds long. Done. So now I get a beautiful cross dissolve, and the audio dips and comes back in.
Come on.
That's a little bit rough.
I'm making a white chili, and the ingredient.
Now it looks rough only in this timeline because it's having to process a lot of information. But once it's burned, that will play smooth as silk, okay? So I can go page down. I can do my transitions and fade outs right there the same way. Guys, that's how you can swap out your audio. That's how you do your transitions and how you can fade in and out audio and that kind of stuff. So there is a good basic overview of kind of what's going to be necessary if you want to get into making cooking videos. The only difference is it's never 3 or 4 clips. It's a it's a whole litany. Okay, so just get ready for it. There's a lot there, and there's you kind of a simple overview and maybe some tips that could help you out. I hope you enjoyed this. As you just saw, that was a fairly decent amount of time to make a few changes on a clip, and you've seen it take some time to go into it, make your initial cuts, to cut the ending, the beginning and the ending of each clip, and then join the clips together the right way and get your fade ins in there the right way, and also titles and other stuff. There's a lot of stuff to do. If you want titles, you've got text up here. There's also different title alternatives when it comes to creative software like this. Adobe and all of the others have a lot of different built-in stuff that are designed to do very beautiful and ornate intros and titles and stuff like that. I don't really like to do that because it doesn't show, in my book, it doesn't show my creativity. It's someone else's design of creativity. If I do it my way, then it's a totally different thing. For instance, recently I put a banner in for Patreon. Instead of just running straight across, I tilted it a little bit. Okay? Little things like that that can be done. That you wouldn't normally find in your other program settings there. And that's the kind of stuff I like to add in because it shows that true deep-rooted kind of creativity that I like to add to mine. However, it's not necessary. If you want to go with the built-in stuff, use it. It's very helpful, and especially when you're getting started, it can help you out with making some good-looking videos. Okay, so keep it simple. Looks more professional if it's basic and simple. If you ever watch the pros do, they do simple crossfades. They fade in or fade out from black, and it's just very, very simple stuff. They don't do the spinning swipes or swipe from the left or star swipes or all of that stuff. Okay, when you see a lot of that, it has a very amateurish look to it, and it's something I try to avoid at all costs. So enjoy your programs, and good luck. And thank you. I would like to say thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. To my subscribers, guys, thank you very much for subscribing. And if you would, take a look at the channel again. There's a lot of great recipes there. Also, please take a look at this. This is patreon.com/Stuart Trotter. That's my page on Patreon. If you are interested at all in supporting Texas Cooking Today or in supporting the arts, Patreon is a great way to do it. No, they are not paying me for this. This is not sponsored at all. It is just me telling you about my Patreon page and kind of giving you an overall about what goes on there. And I don't give out, or excuse me, I don't ask for give outs. Okay, I'm not asking for anything for nothing. On my Patreon, when you pledge, you also get something in return. Okay, so I have all kinds of stuff that I provide my patrons, and it just depends on what level you're at. So look through all of those levels. You'll be surprised at what you get. Believe it or not, there's one level that you even get a Stetson hat. And I don't mean a cheap one either. I mean a real wool felt Stetson hat made right here in Texas. In fact, locally here, they're made in Garland, Texas. So really neat stuff. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. And folks, you have a good day.